1, 2, 3, 4. I gave you all I had to give, and I've done the best I can. So now it's up to you to finish what I began. Yes, I will always love you, and I'll be there just for you. So in all that you do, my child, to yourself you must be true. So promise me that you will fight for what it is that you believe. No matter what you do in life, it's in the giving that you'll receive. Wherever the road may take you, those you meet along the way, promise me that you will count your blessings every day.
And in fact, a very good day to you. Jason Hawes back once again, back on American Faith Today. And it's been some time, unfortunately, since I've been back to do another show and another podcast. Certainly more time has passed than I would have liked or anticipated, but sometimes these things occur. We will get through, and I will get through, by George, not by King George or George H.W. Bush or George W. Bush or even Curious George, but some George somewhere in the world will get through this book of Daniel, and you do have my word on that. And we're going to start the 10th chapter today. And the 10th chapter, hopefully dipping our toes into the 11th chapter as well. The 10th chapter isn't really necessarily very lengthy at 21 verses, and it's just kind of a backdrop to or an introduction to the vision that Daniel would have. The 11th chapter is rather lengthy and rather detailed, and then of course the 12th chapter, the last of the book, just a conclusion to the book of Daniel. So we'll get there, hopefully a little bit quicker than certainly from last show to this show, but we will get there nonetheless. I do want to say that I have received occasionally some nice compliments, which I appreciate, although it's kind of funny because sometimes one of the platforms that I wind up uploading this show to, because I share links on social media and some message boards and so forth, and it also gets uploaded to SoundCloud. Now, SoundCloud, if you're not familiar with it, I'm not certainly I'm no SoundCloud expert, let's put it that way. But I obviously was familiar with it before I started uploading to it. And I have a free account at SoundCloud, which at one point, or at some point, perhaps I'll just pay a little bit, $7 a month or whatever it is, for the next level up. It's not for the lowest rate plan other than free. It's not that expensive of a thing. Because there's not too much storage space at one particular time on the free platform at SoundCloud. But it is a platform that it's mostly used for, I think, musicians and so forth. But you do have podcasts. I know at times I've heard at least portions of Mark Levin's show, Glenn Beck's show, that gets uploaded to SoundCloud. And again, that's one of the places that, one of the platforms I do utilize. And actually, a lot of times on the kind of secondary Facebook links, other than my own personal Facebook page or the show's American Faith Today's Facebook page, I'll actually use the SoundCloud link to spread it at different like Facebook groups that I'm a member of, because for whatever the reason, when I would try to share the link directly from Speaker at various Facebook groups, most people weren't even seeing it. But they are seeing, as far as I know, the SoundCloud, so I don't know what technical issue is involved there. But like I said, occasionally I'll get a nice message via SoundCloud, and I received one of those in regards to the last show. But it's a little bit funny too, because I sometimes wonder, or in this particular case, I wondered if I received a message from, and being a male in the flesh, from her picture anyway, she looked kind of cute. Of course, I'm about 40 years old, or I am 40 years old, so probably a little too young for me, regardless. But sent me a young lady by the name of Courtney, sent me a message. And like I said, it was a very nice message, but I almost, in reading it, wondered if she even actually listened to the podcast or the entire podcast. And I'm not trying to make fun, especially if she hears this one, because I appreciated it. But she said that my music was awesome, especially the book of Daniel 9:3 to 9:27. And of course, for the most part, in fact, as far as my contribution, you get no music from me, directly from me. I'm pretty sure that people would not necessarily want to download, listen to, or buy tracks of Jason Hawes singing. I feel pretty confident in saying that. But then again, William Hung from American Idol, an American Idol reject from several years back, wound up selling a lot of records somehow, so who really knows. But anyway, she sent me a message saying that my music was awesome and that I should upload more, download more, and was asking for advice, because I guess she was going to upload some tracks, and asking me for some advice on how to get more listeners, more fans, more exposure. And again, I've said many times on American Faith Today, I am a lazy and unenthusiastic, a poor self-promoter or marketer, so she was really kind of even asking the wrong person in a lot of ways. But I did tell her, that, I mean, if you have a good social media network, then as far as contacts, people that you can share things with and promote yourself that way, then obviously in this day and age, social media is, for a lot of people anyway, a powerful marketing tool. But I just thought it was kind of funny that she was talking about my music when everything that I've been uploading has been pretty much so far these Bible studies. And I do want to say too, by the way, because it's the second time somebody had commented on the music, and I think somebody even on YouTube, which it does get uploaded to YouTube as well, but it gets all broken up in different pieces, and I just haven't had the time or the expertise to even market myself at all on YouTube. But a lot of times people are commenting on the music, and again, the song has nothing to do with me, or isn't from me. It's from a gentleman by the name of Gordon Ward. I don't know if he pronounces it Fahe. It's a song called Promise Me, and it is a good song. It's about the third intro song that I've used since I started doing American Faith Today a few years back, and I've had to change from time to time as I've either changed platforms or lost the music one way or another. And this is what I've been using here on Spreaker. But again, I do appreciate, and Courtney, if you happen to catch this one, I did reply to you on your question to me. Hopefully it helped you out in some way. I do appreciate your feedback, and actually, in all seriousness, I hope that you get something out of the Bible studies. If you're a Christian, if you're not a Christian, I know a lot of people who, of course, do listen in for the Bible study and the commentary, do appreciate that as well, and especially those who have been listening to the show on one platform or another for some period of time. But that being said, on to the weightier matters of this podcast and of today's show, and we are going to get back into the book of Daniel finally. We're going to get here into the 10th chapter, and we ask a word of wisdom from our Father, and it is Daniel chapter 10, verse 1. It reads, "In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar," again the Chaldee, or Babylonian name for Daniel. O Bel, protect his life. Of course, Daniel being God as judge, whose name was called Belteshazzar, and the thing was true. But the time appointed was long, and he understood the thing, and had understanding of the vision. So, again, here we have a date at which time Daniel received, a year at least, at which time Daniel received this vision. It was in the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia. This would be the Cyrus that most Bible students are familiar with, that would issue the decree for the people of Judah, or the people who were of Judah and in Jerusalem at the time of the captivity, to go back to that land and to rebuild it, to rebuild the temple. And along with that, from the book of Nehemiah, of course, the wall and the actual city of Jerusalem. But in the 3rd year of Cyrus, this would have been about 424 BC. It was 2 years after Daniel was cast into and delivered from the lion's den, and Daniel had 89 years of age at this particular time. And he receives this vision, which, as it says here, it was true, it was accurate, it was from God, so naturally it was. It was things that would come to pass, but it would be quite a ways off from Daniel's time. As it says, the time appointed was long, and actually this time appointed, in the Hebrew, again, you can check it out in a Strong's Concordance for this word appointed. It is shabal. It is the same Hebrew word that we have in the 8th chapter, which I mentioned here in Daniel, the 12th verse, where we have the Antichrist, the little horn, who is given a host to go to war, which is an army, to go to war against the daily oblation. And so again, it is the same Hebrew word. Again, shabal, meaning host, army. It can mean a multitude of people gathering for military combat or conflict. And so what we're talking about here, when we talk about a vision for a later time, which is the latter days, which are these days, it refers to the spiritual war. It refers to you might say even eventually the wars of Armageddon, Hamon-Gog, the very brief war. They're all going to be very brief, but the very brief war in which Satan is released after that 1,000-year period at the end of the millennium and goes forth to deceive many in the world yet again. But it is interesting to note that this is referring to, and something that you should pick up on, that this is referring to a time far off from Daniel's time that is current day to us, and refers to war. Again, not so much necessarily tanks and planes when we refer to the end times war, but concepts, ideas, precepts, a war for hearts, for minds, and for souls, rather than war as we might think of it in the worldly or in the flesh sense. Verse 2, in those days I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks, or 21 days, and we're going to find out that there's a connection here, even down to the very day when we get later here in this chapter as to why this 21-day period would be significant. But Daniel had received the vision, and he had some understanding of the vision, at least that it was bad. 21 in biblical numerics means a rather exceeding amount of sinfulness. So it's not a good thing, but it is important to note that it is a relatively, or an exceeding amount of sinfulness, we can certainly say, that brings on the apostasy, the entrance of Antichrist, the great tribulation of Antichrist, and the end of this earth age. But Daniel, again, as he was, once he realized that his people would go into captivity for 70 years for their sin, and he went into a period of repentance and mourning, and pleading with God, here again, seeing this vision, it has quite a strong effect on